to another tutorial, guys. In today's video we're going to be learning how to make a 6 pieces skirt or a panel skirt, whatever you want to call it. So we are going to be drafting it on the pattern. I have just my normal plain pattern paper here, and I have cut it to my skirt length. My skirt length is 36 inches, so this is 36 inches long. Now the next thing we're going to do is take your waist measurement, your skirt waist measurement, and I have mine to be 32 inches. So I'll come up here to the beginning of my pattern. 32 divided by 4 is 8. So I'll come here and mark 8. This is my 8-inch mark there. Now my dart will be taking up 1 inch. I'll put that 1 inch addition here, and my skirt, I want to put an allowance of 1 inch rounded, so I'm going to put another 1 inch. So I'm adding like 2 inches to that upper part. So come down to measure your hip line. You can measure your hip line on your body, but standard hip line measurements, that's from your waist to your hip point, is between 8 and 9 inches. So I'll use 9 for myself. So for my hip line, I'm going to measure my hip. My hip is 42, and I'll divide 42 by 4. That's 10.5. So this is my 10.5 here. And since there's not going to be any dart on your hip, you don't need to put 1 inch for that. You just go ahead to put your 1 inch for your seam allowance, and this is where it stops. So another measurement you need to take, a vital one, is from your skirt waist to 3 inches above your knee. You shouldn't be on that knee joint. And if I come up to 3 inches, for me, I'll be having 18 inches. So I'm going to rule a line on that 18-inch mark. Now I'll come up here. Since I have 11.5 inches here, I'll just come here and measure exactly 11 inches here. I'll remove that 0.5 because I'm still going to shape it very well. So it's still that 11 inch I'll still do at the bottom as well. My 11 inch here as well. Okay, so we want to put our dart. Our dart is usually 4 inches from the center front. That would be the midpoint of the dart, which is here. And you measure 1/2 inch on both sides. But if you're on a bigger size, please instead of 4, increase it to 4.5, then put 1/2. And the dart is usually about 6 inches long. But of course, we are not just doing a normal simple skirt. The skirt we are doing is actually a 6 pieces skirt. So that means there has to be a cut through along here. So I would need to extend this dart line, that's this 4-inch midline, down to the very end of this pattern. So let me go and measure 4 inch also at the bottom. So I'll put paper there. Now that we have our paper attachment here, usually the panels for the 6 piece should be between 6 inches to about 12 inches. 12 inches will give you a very full princess flaring out. 8 inches is like moderate, 6 inches is simple. So me, I think I want to go for the simple one. I don't want it to be too much. So I'm going to go for 6 inches. You could do 8, you could do 12, but I've tried 8, I've tried 12, and I think it's just too full for my liking. So I'll just go moderately with 6. So I'm going to start my 6 measurement from this line that we drew here. So this is where my 6 inch will be. I'll just put about let me just make it 7, so that 1 inch will be like for my sewing allowance and for whipping it inside. So let me just leave it for 7 there. So from this 7 point here, I need to join this line up onto this hip line. I want to still shape it more, so I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch again. So I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch because I want it to be really shaped and well fitted on my body. So I'm just going to join it here, then join it to this hip point here. So how to do a 4-piece, a 6-piece, and an 8-piece. A 4-piece, remove the dart if you do not want that. If you want that, go ahead to sew the dart up, but don't cut on this straight line. A 6-piece, cut on this straight line, cut it out. So we have 3 panels on the front and 3 panels at the back. For an 8-piece, cut this one 2 pieces, cut this one 2 pieces, so you have 4 at the front, 4 at the back. Whichever you want to do, it's fine. But now this is my back panel already cut to my skirt length, so I'll come here and measure 2 inches for my zip allowance. So now I'll just go ahead and place this front on this back along this zipper line like so. So you see I'm placing it on this zipper line like so that I can just cut the shape, the outline of the body. So now we'll go ahead and cut this out. Okay, so the next thing we do for this back now is to put paper here and paper here. So for this back here, I'm going to measure 7 inches from this point here. So this is my 7-inch mark, and I'll come to my knee shaping here and go in by 1/2 inch as well, because I want that knee to be shaped. So now for the zip part, it depends on you. You can do it in 2 methods. You can decide you want your zipper line to just be closed straight down like so, that you don't want any problem at that point. So when you are sewing this, it will just be straight, like you just put your zipper and close everything straight down. Or you can decide you still want a panel on your zipper line. I actually do want a panel on my zipper line, so I'm going to put paper here as well and do the same thing. So I'll still leave down my 2 inches there and start from this point here and measure. So I'm going to do everything that is here, which is about 7.5 inch. I'll go to the very end. But if you want your back to be well pronounced, you could do 8, you could do 10, just by this center back zip line there. So that when you are working, if you want it flowy, if you want it lovely, you can extend it, you know, really make it come out to increase it to about 10 inches. But I'm going to leave it at what it is here. Now the very important one that you need to know is at this zip line on your nip shaping here, at this zip line on your nip shaping, come in from that zipper point, from this zipper allowance here, come in 1 inch, just come in 1 inch here. That place has to come in very well. So from there, just join your line to the very end of your pattern. Now while you are doing this, is you want it to come inside at that zip line. You don't just want it to be a straight line. When you don't worry, while we're sewing this, you are going to see the effect of coming in by 1 inch. Every other part on the knee shaping, you're coming in half inch, half inch, half inch, but here is the only one you're coming in by 1 inch. So this is how my center back will be looking like. If you actually want to sew from this hip line now, from here, just measure 2 inches back inwards here. And you're coming down to this end and measuring that 2 inches again. So I'm redrawing my zipper allowance for the back. So when you are sewing, after you've inserted your zip here, if your zip gets up to maybe a little lower than your hip line, so from this part now, you have to measure on your fabric 2 inches inside you. Don't mind that this is looking so small. You will even feel it. Everything will just hug your body. On this back side seam as well, I'll come to this point and mark 7 inch too. And come here to this knee shaping and mark half inch inwards. Now guys, we are through with the back. So you can see my back has one on the zipper side here, and we have here and here as well. For my front, remember we have this already. I'll just cut this dark line out. Great, so this is my center front. My center front. Now for my center front, I would just remember this is my knee shaping here. I would add paper here. So for this my center front, the flare attachment will just be on one side, which is on this panel here that has been cut. Remember, we're measuring 7 inch, so 7 inch measurement is starting from this part where we just taped extra paper to. So we'll come here and we mark that point there, and come to your knee shaping. From this same point here, mark 1 inch inwards here, inwards. So that one is outwards, this one is inwards. This is my center front. Come to the bottom, measure 7 inch here, come here and still mark half inch inwards. Now I have my seam allowance here, 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I have 2 inches seam allowance here, 1/2 inch here, 2 inches because of that zipper. I already have 1 inch seam allowance here. Now I have 1 inch here. I have 1 inch seam allowance. Increase this to 1 inch too. So I'll increase this to 1 so that when I'm joining this part with this part is 1 inch. I'll just sew. So I'll increase this to 1 inch off camera, and we are good with that. So I'll put seam allowance here first. I already have 1 inch seam allowance here, so I'll put 1 inch here too. So I'll have 1 inch seam allowance here as well. You see that I'm not adding it to the bottom because we already made the bottom wide enough. No need to add there, but if you want to go ahead to add straight up, it's fine. And finally, my seam allowance here. Okay guys, I am through cutting everything, my back, center back side seam, and my front and the center front. So I'll go ahead to cut this on my fabric now. So guys, I have cut all my fabric. You can see that since I've put the seam allowances, there was no need to increase the fabric. I just cut it exactly as it is. No need to join any other fabric to this, just place it and cut. So my front is actually on fold. If you look at it, it's on fold like so. Then this one, I actually cut 2 pieces on the fabric and 2 pieces on the lining. So my lining piece is just a little below that my knee shaping. See where it gets to, just a little below there. And this one as well. Then finally this back too as well, 2 pieces with the back here, 2 pieces. So let me show you how we are going to join it up. So this is my back side seam, and this is my back center, my center back. So I'm going to remove the patterns first. You know, we're supposed to join this to this because that was where we cut along there. So let me remove the pattern. So what I'm going to do is take this piece and this piece and sew it here. So this is where my zipper line will be. I'll just put zip there, so I know that my zipper line is there. And this is for my side seam, right? So I'll pin it here. I'm going to sew it along that part for this one. So for this one, I'll place it this way, front sides facing front sides, and pin it here too as well. So you can still label it. This part is the zip, and here is the side seam, so that you don't mix it up. Guys, quick one. So I want to quickly insert my zip. Before I insert my zip, I already marked my 2 inches zipper allowance down to the very end. You can see my chalk on the fabric. I have marked 2 inches down. That was the 2 inches we left initially, and I measured where I wanted my zip to get to. So this is where the length of my zip, and that's about 9 inches here. So it is from this point here. Then I'm going to sew that 2-inch close. So I'll follow that 2-inch down, then I'll come back up to insert my zipper there. So let's quickly do that. I have sewn both the front and the back panels together. What I want to quickly do first of all, before we join them together, is I'm going to lower this front. Why I'm lowering this front is so that, you know, on your this part it curves in on the front. This front waist kind of have a slight curve. So I would lower it by 1/2 inch. So I'll fold my front into 2 like this. It's unfold. So I'll fold this, it's unfold, and I'll measure 1/2 inch downwards. So I'll just measure 1/2 inch, and I'll curve this from this up to the 1/2 inch there. When you open it, you have this slight curve there. Please do that before you join. Now that we've inserted the zipper for the back, I'll place the front on it like so. So I have my front and back together like so. And now what I'm going to do is just sew. I'll pin it. I'll pin on both sides straight down. Since our pattern is proof made and no errors, just go and sew 1 inch down along both sides. But in case you just want to remeasure, you can go ahead and measure, but there's no need to do that. Just sew 1 inch down, and then you fit it before, so that you know if it's a little tight, if you need to release it a bit, or you just go ahead to measure. Anyone that works fine for you. Now for the lining as well, I have my front lining, and these are my 2 back pieces. You can see this is the zip part here, and this is the zip part here too. So I'll just go ahead and pin it up here like so. I'll also pin it up here, and what I'll do is I'll just sew 1 inch on the side seam. Leave this zipper part open. I've sewn everything from the top up to the bottom, and I fitted it, and it looks good already, right? I've infused my zip as well. So the next thing to do is to put our lining. So let me flip this. Now if you look at this part, I actually had to sew it more than 1 inch because I had some kind of excess, so I needed to hold it in. I just held it in. It's from that knee shaping I held the extra up onto the waist point. I did the same here. That was only where the excess was. Here it's still the same seam allowance, and at the back too it's still the same seam allowance, so everything fits like a glove. Now to attach our lining, I'm going to open the zipper part up, right, and I'll take my lining piece. This is my lining piece here. I'll place it right side to right side. I'll pin it along the zipper here. So when I get to this end of the skirt waist, I'm going to sew it along that zipper line. This is my zipper line, so I'll be feeling for the zip and just sew that lining on that line. Once the zip is over, I'll sew it till I get to the very end of the lining here. So that's what I'll do. I've already gone to hem this as well, and I've hemmed this as well. Alright guys, so this is the end of the tutorial. I did enjoy making this tutorial. It was fun and insightful as well. I top stitched the skirt waist, and you see how my zip is neatly finished. And let me just show you what the inside looks like. So you can see the inside of the skirt looking all prim and proper. I love how the inside looks. It gives it a very clean finish. You could as well as extend this lining to the very, like 2 inches above where the main fabric stops, 2 inches above there, so it's going to give it a more fuller and beautiful look. And this is how the back of my skirt looks. You can see it was just attached just by that zipper line. Everything is beautifully finished. Yes guys, yes guys, yes guys, I love everything about this skirt. So if you did enjoy this tutorial, please do give me a thumbs up. Also subscribe guys, subscribe, and also share if you find my tutorials helpful. Share and also support me in whatever way you can, by commenting, by liking, by subscribing, so that I'll be able to give you more valuable content. Thank you so much for watching guys. So we'll see you in the next tutorial. Stay safe, God bless, bye.